Yes, we will continue then. So if you remember last class, we were doing the revision of classification of elements. So till isoelectronic species I had finished. So today we will continue with ionization enthalpy. So ionization enthalpy is when you have a neutral atom. Okay, for example, if I take that atom as X. So this is the atom which is in the ground state. It's a gaseous atom. Okay, so in the gaseous atom, how much amount of energy you are going to supply, okay, to this particular atom to remove the electron from the outermost shell. Okay, in the atom, there is a nucleus, and then we have electrons which are present in the outermost shell. Okay, so how much amount of energy we are supplying to this particular gaseous atom in its ground state, because we are talking about the atom which is in the normal state. Okay, they have not got excited. If they have got excited, then the energy what they will have will be different. So that is the reason you have to mention this. It's important to mention that the atom is a gaseous atom and then they are in the ground state. So when they are in this particular state, how much amount of energy you are going to supply, okay, to remove that electron which is present in the outermost shell. Okay, the electron which is present in the outermost shell, that energy is what we call as ionization energy or ionization enthalpy. Okay, so when you remove the electron from the neutral atom, this X will get converted to, you are removing one electron, no, so that means the number of proton ratio will be larger. So then I can put a one positive charge here. Okay, again they are in the gaseous state itself, so plus charge plus one electron they have lost. Okay, so this energy what we have supplied here for this particular atom to remove the electron from their outermost shell, that itself is ionization enthalpy. Now here we have removed only one electron. Okay, so if you are removing only one electron, that will be named as first ionization enthalpy. Okay, so this I can write as, this is called as first ionization enthalpy, the amount of energy you have supplied to remove only one electron, okay, from the outermost shell. That is first ionization enthalpy. I'll just write E. Okay. Now in the second case, suppose if I want to now remove another electron, okay. So let me take this X plus, okay, one electron already they have lost. So one electron they have already lost. Now they are in plus cation state, okay, plus state, one plus state, that is there, they are in their cation state. Now in this state, if you want to remove another electron now, okay, just imagine there were two electrons. So one electron already we have removed. Now we are wanting to remove the second electron. Okay, so how much amount of energy now we are going to supply to remove that second electron, that will be called as the second ionization enthalpy. So if you are removing another electron, already there was one plus charge. Now the plus charge will become 2. Okay, so double plus charge plus one electron I will remove out. Okay, so this energy which I have supplied here to remove the second electron is called as second ionization enthalpy. Okay, so this energy is called as second ionization enthalpy. And always, students, remember the second ionization enthalpy will be higher. Okay, this second ionization enthalpy always will be higher than compared to the first ionization enthalpy. Why it has to be higher? Can you all answer now why it has to be higher? What is the reason you think that the second ionization enthalpy is higher than compared to the first one? I have given this before also, but I want you all to answer because it's a revision class. Yes, very good. Correct, because effective nuclear charge will be, if it is because of the effective nuclear charge, yeah, they go more closer towards the nucleus. Yes, very good. That is the correct answer. Okay. So what happens is when you remove an electron, okay, now in this first case you see, when I have removed one electron, what will happen is the effective nuclear charge will increase, because you see the ratio, no, to the number of protons, the number of electron ratios are less. So this nuclear charge will increase. Okay, so in that case what happens, this nucleus will be able to hold that electron more tightly. When the number of electron becomes lesser and lesser, it will become easier for that nucleus to hold the electron. So here what happens, this nucleus will hold the electrons which are present in the outermost shell They will hold them tightly. So effective nuclear charge increases. So in that case, if you want to remove that second electron from the outermost shell, that will be very difficult. Okay, so it becomes very difficult. It is not that easy as I'm explaining here, remove one electron from the outermost shell. So it won't be that easy to remove the electron from the outermost shell. It will be difficult to remove the second electron. Okay, so difficult, why? Because the effective nuclear charge increases. So always remember, second ionization enthalpy will be higher than compared to the first one. Very good. Okay, now talking about the variation of ionization enthalpy across the period and down the group. So what do you observe across the period and down the group? Across the period and down the group, what happens? Across the period, you are adding the electrons to the same shell, correct? No? So when you are adding the electrons to the same shell, so if I'm taking lithium here, we are adding the electrons to the same shell. So in that case, effective nuclear charge is increasing, correct? Yes. Effective nuclear charge increases, okay? And what happens to the radius? You can add one more point. What happens to the atomic radii? I'll just write radii here. The radii is decreasing. See, always when the radius becomes smaller and smaller, okay, when the radius are smaller, that means these atoms, electrons are held tightly towards the nucleus. Then it will be very difficult for us to remove that electron from the outermost shell. Okay, so automatically we can say that ionization enthalpy increases. Okay, and effective nuclear charge and ionization enthalpy are directly related to each other. If you see that effective nuclear charge is increasing, so always remember that the ionization enthalpy also will increase, because effective nuclear charge means the tendency, the net force which is being experienced by the electron. The nucleus is having a hold on the electron. Okay, the electron is experiencing the net positive charge by the nucleus. So if that increases, automatically that means the electron are held tightly towards the nucleus. It won't be easier for us to remove that electron from the outermost shell. So automatically what happens is ionization enthalpy increases. Okay, across the period you see that the radii is decreasing, radius is decreasing, effective nuclear charge is increasing, so ionization enthalpy also increases. Down the group, it will be opposite. Down the group, electrons are added to the different shell. Okay, so when you are adding the electrons to the different shell, this nucleus and the electrons doesn't have much hold on each other. Okay, the outermost electron doesn't have a much hold on the nucleus as you are going down the group. The first one will have a hold, but if you keep on adding the shell, then what happens is that outermost electrons will be far away from the nucleus. So nucleus can't hold that outermost electron. Then it will become easier for us to remove that electron from the outermost shell. So when the radii, you see that it is increasing, you observe that the effective nuclear charge, means the nucleus power to hold that electron, is decreasing. So when effective nuclear charge decreases, automatically, I told you, if you are able to understand what happens to effective nuclear charge, then you can tell what will happen to the other properties also. So here ionization enthalpy will decrease. Okay, so that is a variation of ionization enthalpy across the period and down the group. Now talking about the ionization enthalpy for the stable elements. Okay, like for example, noble gas. You see that the noble gases are there. No, noble gas, these are like give reason questions. Noble gases have highest ionization enthalpy. This question can be asked. Okay, why noble gas? They have highest ionization enthalpy. The reason is because noble gases, their configurations are stable. Okay, helium, if you take 1s2 is the configuration. Neon atomic numbers 10, yes, 1s2 and then 2s2, 2p6. So if you see their configuration, okay, when you talk about their configuration, they have a stable electronic configuration. So when anything is stable, from that stable state, if you want to remove the electron, then you need to supply very high amount of energy. Okay, so that is the reason why for the noble gases, the ionization enthalpy is found to be highest among all the elements. Yes, if you want to remove the correct. The question is, if third electron has to be removed, will it be called as third ionization enthalpy? Yes, correct. If you want to remove the third electron, it will be third ionization enthalpy. And that will be still more higher than compared to the second one. That will be very difficult to remove the third electron. Yes, so that was about the variation of ionization enthalpy in the periodic table across the period, down the group. I've told you these are the two main reasons, okay, effective nuclear charge and the radius. You can add that point also. Electrons are added across the period. You can say electrons are added to the same shell, okay. Since they are in the same shell, no, that was the reason why the effective nuclear charge is increasing. And here you can add one more point, electrons are added to different shell. Here they are added to differential. See, ionization enthalpy itself is the energy which you are supplying. So if you have a positive atom now, from that positive atom to remove the electron will be difficult, because in the positive atom compared to the neutral atom, the effective nuclear charge will be higher. Okay. So that ionization enthalpy is the energy what you are supplying. Okay, got the point. Ionization enthalpy itself is the energy. So when I say ionization enthalpy is higher, that means that for that particular atom to remove the electron, we need to supply so much amount of energy, that higher energy, so much energy has to be supplied. And we write it in this way, okay, delta H, the change in the enthalpy is written as delta H. Delta H is equal to, just to say, if I take this as Q, okay, Q kilojoule per mole of energy. So delta H value means from the initial state to the final state, when the electron has been removed, we see the change, okay. So after seeing the change, you need to find out how much amount of energy we have supplied when one electron got knocked out. So let that be a Q amount of energy. So Q will be the amount of energy which we have supplied. That itself is the ionization enthalpy. Yes, that is correct. Yeah. When you have element when in their ionic state, okay, when they attain the noble gas configuration, yeah, that time when you have to supply the energy, that will be almost equal to the noble gas configuration, correct? Like for example, if you have now sodium ion, they have attained the noble gas configuration, okay? From here, if you want to remove the electron from the outermost shell, it is almost similar to the noble gas configuration. So then it will be difficult. Okay, so almost it is equal to the noble gas configuration. So sodium ion, magnesium 2 plus ion, then aluminium 3 plus ion. So because they are getting the stable electronic configuration, it will be difficult for us. Yes, okay. So we'll go for the next one now. Next give reason type of question. The first ionization enthalpy of boron is less than compared to beryllium. Okay. So you can start with this explanation. Boron, you know, atomic number is, all this you need to keep in mind. Otherwise, you will not be able to do. Okay. Boron atomic number is 5 and beryllium atomic number is 4. So when you write the configuration for beryllium, it will be 1s2, 2s2. And for boron, it is 1s2, 2s2, and then 2p1. Yes, most of the time the question which will be asked over here will be a theory question itself. Okay. And the questions are also like quite direct. Like here, first ionization enthalpy or define ionization enthalpy. How does it vary across the period down the group? Okay. So you can expect what type of questions also they will ask. And one I have already told you, out of those 4 periodic properties, okay, any one is a definite question for 3 marks. Okay. It's always the case in the board paper, you will find those questions will be there. Out of those properties, one question will be a definite question. And then you can expect for 1 mark, that I will tell you at the end, okay, what type of questions you can get in your exam. So your boron and then I said beryllium electronic configurations are this. So if you see the electronic configuration and try to understand their structure, you have a nucleus and then, okay, first shell I'm taking here, then we have a second shell, 2s orbital is there. Then after that 2p orbital is there. So I will draw only one because only one p orbital electrons are filled, no? P has 3 divisions. I hope you remember that. P has 3 division, but I am drawing only one. 3 division, if you want, I will draw here. So that, you know, this is how they will be arranged. Okay, P has Px, Py and then Pz. No. So now in one of the orbital, one electron is present. So that is in the boron case. So 2 electrons are there in the second shell and 1 electron is present in the second shell's 2s orbital, 2 electrons are present, and in 2p orbital 1 electron is present. But in beryllium case, you have nucleus, then you have 1s orbital and then you have only 2s orbital. Okay. So if you see the closest of the electron, okay, who are present more closer to the nucleus. So in the beryllium case, you can see that the electrons of the second shell are more closer toward the nucleus, and in the boron case the electron has gone to the 2p orbital. Okay, so that means the force of interaction is there, no, between the 2p electrons and the nucleus will be little less because they have gone little far, no, so that interaction is less. Okay, whereas in this case, since they are present only in the 2s orbital, the force of attraction between the electrons towards the nucleus is quite higher. So that is the reason you find that the first ionization enthalpy, okay, of beryllium is higher. Okay, for beryllium it is higher and for boron it is lower. Okay, the question asked is like that only, no, first ionization enthalpy of boron is less. So why it is less? Because the electrons are far away from the nucleus compared to the beryllium. In the beryllium case, these electrons are present in the 2s orbital, so they are more closer towards the nucleus. When they become more closer towards the nucleus, it becomes difficult for us. Okay, so if it is difficult, that means ionization enthalpy will be higher. So beryllium ionization enthalpy is higher than compared to boron. Yes, wait 1 minute. Okay, so your doubt was, if we compare two elements, the one with higher atomic number, will they have less ionization enthalpy? That depends on, you are talking about whether the elements are in the same period or in the different period. Now your question, your doubt is, if you have two elements, one with higher atomic number, you have to check whether they are in the same period or they are in the different one. Okay, suppose if they are in the same period, like now for example beryllium and then boron case, beryllium and boron case, the one which has more effective nuclear charge, okay, they will be having higher one. Usually, like the normal trend I am talking about, when you are going across the period, okay, suppose if you have two element, okay, in the same period, then the one which has highest nuclear charge, they will have more ionization enthalpy. But when you go down the group, one shell comes out extra. So in that case, these are exceptional cases, okay, what we are discussing, no? Why here boron is ionization enthalpy is less than compared to beryllium. The reason is because here these electrons are little far. So whatever give reason I have discussed here, these are like little exceptional cases. But normal general trend what we observe is, as you are going across the period, since effective nuclear charge increases, and then ionization enthalpy also increases. Okay. No, see for, okay, now one more doubt you see students, I'm just reading out the question. Okay, so this also understand here. Can we write beryllium has got stable electronic configuration of helium? Therefore, ionization enthalpy of boron is less. Now see, Helium electronic configuration is only so much, no? This is helium. 1s2 electronic configuration is of helium. But after that, you have 2s2 configuration. That is not of helium, no? So that reason you can't give, okay? What reason we can give is this electrons which are there in the s orbitals are closer towards the nucleus. If it was attaining 1s2 configuration, then you can give that reason, okay? That they have attained helium. Helium configuration is only 1s2. 2s2 doesn't come for helium configuration, okay? 2s2 is in the next shell. Yes, done. You all have anything else to ask? Did you all follow whatever I said? No, it is stable. See here, this electronic configurations are stable. Yeah, that you can say, but you can't say that they are having helium electronic configuration. Yeah, that way it is correct. They are having 1s2, 2s2 configuration. Yeah, that is fine. Okay, and the electronic configuration, since in the orbital the electrons are filled, it is having a stable electronic configuration than compared to boron. Yes, that answer you can give. Okay, that is fine. But in detail, when we are going, you have to give the specific reason, no? So that more specific reason is because these electrons which are present in the 2p orbital, they are little far from the nucleus. So it becomes easiest for us to remove this electron from the outermost shell. Okay, these are little far. You can see with the diagram. So that is the reason why I have drawn with the diagram. Okay, so in this case, what we find is they are little far. So when they are far from the nucleus, it will be little easier to remove. Whereas when they are near to the nucleus, it will be difficult for us to remove. No, you need not draw the diagram. This I drew because you should get a clear picture of it. When you are writing in the exam, you just write only so much. Configurations you write, and then you say that in the boron case, the electrons are present in the 2p orbital having little less interaction with the nucleus, whereas the electrons which are present in the 2s orbital has more interaction with the nucleus. And always remember, electrons which are present in the s orbital, no, s orbital is a spherical orbital. So spherical orbital has more interaction with the nucleus than compared to the p orbital or d orbital. Okay, their interaction with the, because they have a different kind of geometry. So that is the reason, because of their diffused state, these electrons are scattered. Okay, whereas in the s orbital they are in symmetrical and they will be more closer towards the nucleus then compared to p and then compared to d orbital. Atomic radii means like you want to mention the atomic radius of it, of beryllium and boron. You can mention, but then you have to memorize that. Okay, so that's the reason why not required, because we can't remember the atomic radius of all the elements, no? So you just give this specific reason, okay, a general reason about this. Yes, and the others, okay, your doubt is if you have 2p electrons in the 2p orbital and 2p1, which will have more ionization enthalpy. Okay, no? So where you can see now, before this you have 2s2 configuration and before this it is 2s2 configuration. So the first ionization enthalpy of this one will be higher, okay? This will be lower, sorry, this will be lower. Okay, your doubt is about 2s2 because if you remove one electron from this particular shell, they will attain this stable electronic configuration, okay? That is 2s2. So that is the reason why this will be lower and this will be higher, okay? This will have lower and this one will be higher, okay? So students, the doubt was if the configuration is 2p2 and if the configuration is 2p1, among these two, which will have higher or lower ionization enthalpy. So if it is 2p1, you see which is the orbital which is present before that, 2s2 orbital. Okay. So if I remove this one electron, they will attain this configuration. It's like almost a stable electronic configuration. So they will give out this electron easily. Okay, because in this p orbital only one electron is present, alone it is. So it becomes easiest for us to remove this electron. So that is the reason why if this is a configuration, it will have lower ionization enthalpy. But if you take 2p electron, 2 electrons are there, okay, then it will be little higher comparing these two. Yes, got now? All the doubts? So many of you? Shall we proceed? If you have anything, you let me know. Okay, if it is 2p3 and 2p4, yes, okay, fine. Okay, so 2p, that we can explain here. Okay, your doubt gets clarified here with this question, okay, 2p3 and 2p4, no? Okay, listen to this part. See, the first ionization enthalpy of nitrogen is greater than compared to oxygen. See, nitrogen electronic atomic number is 7. So it is 1s2, 2s2, 2p3, and oxygen, it is 1s2, 2s2, 2p4. Okay, so this is the configuration. So when the configuration is this, your doubt was this itself, correct? No, between 2p3 and 2p4, which will have highest ionization enthalpy. So you see whether they are having a stable electronic configuration or not. So if I take the orbital, you know, p has only 3 divisions in them. So I can put 3 electrons inside this orbital. And if I take 2p orbital of oxygen, we have 4 electrons. So 1, 2, 3 and then 4. Okay. So you see which is having a stable electronic configuration among this. So in structure of atom you have studied half-filled orbitals are more stable than compared to incompletely filled orbitals. Correct, no? Half-filled orbitals are more stable than compared to incompletely filled orbitals. So you can see here, this is half-filled. Okay. So this one is half-filled and this one is incompletely filled. So that is the reason why the ionization enthalpy for nitrogen is higher than compared to oxygen. Okay, because here it is making them unstable. 4, no, it's not correct. Either they should have at least one electron each, or they should have 2 electrons each. But in this case, what has happened is they are having 2 in one orbital and 1 in one orbital. Okay, so that is the reason why. Yeah, correct. Yeah, I agree with that. Here, oxygen is supposed to have highest effective nuclear charge. I agree, correct. So I said these are exceptional cases. Whatever give reason we are like studying now here, students, it is not the general trend which is being observed. Okay. Some of the elements when we are checking out practically they are not agreeing with the normal trend. The general trend is being not obeyed by some of the elements. So practically when they checked out, they were supposed to find for oxygen higher than compared to nitrogen. I totally agree with that. Okay, correct. Because oxygen's effective nuclear charge is higher than compared to nitrogen. So oxygen was supposed to show higher ionization enthalpy than compared to nitrogen, but it is not showing. Practically, nitrogen is showing higher than compared to oxygen. So you have to justify that. How are we justifying? With the concept whatever you have studied. Okay, practically this is being found. So oxygen is found to be less than compared to nitrogen. Why nitrogen is showing higher? Then we found out through the electronic configuration and then the way they are arranged, the electrons are arranged in the orbital. So in the nitrogen case, what we find is they are having half-filled orbital. And we know that half-filled orbitals are more stable. There is more symmetry. More symmetry means there will be more stability. Okay. Whereas in the oxygen case, one electron is present in one of the orbital extra. So it is making them unstable. When it is unstable, unsymmetrical structures are less stable than compared to symmetrical structure. So that is the reason why oxygen is having less than compared to nitrogen. Agree? Understood now? Yes, for normal cases, if effective nuclear charge is higher, ionization enthalpy also should be higher. So whichever I have explained here, those are the exceptional cases. Okay. Normally, that is the trend. Okay. Wherever you find effective nuclear charge is higher, okay, ionization enthalpy also should be higher, because you can see here no electrons will be directly held, tightly held to the nucleus. If effective nuclear charge is higher, it means what? That electrons are held tightly towards the nucleus. See, if they are held tightly, force of attraction is higher, no? When the force of attraction is higher, it will be difficult for us to remove that electrons. Okay, so I told you effective nuclear charge is directly related to ionization enthalpy. But then there are practically, when we found few exceptional cases we have got. Okay, that we need to justify. Yeah, previous one also did not follow. In the previous case also, okay, what we found is this boron was supposed to have higher ionization enthalpy than compared to beryllium. Correct, no? Boron was supposed to have higher than compared to beryllium. But beryllium is having higher than compared to boron. Again, exceptional case, no? So why are you explaining that? Why it is happening? You have to give the reason. So what reason I told you here? The reason was because 2s electrons are held more tightly. Whereas in this case, maybe it is only one electron which is present in the 2p orbital, and they have less force of attraction by the nucleus. So that was the reason why boron is showing lower than compared to beryllium. Okay, this is also exceptional. These are exceptional cases. Okay, this is exception. That nitrogen and oxygen case is exception. This is an exceptional case. Okay, these are practical things which we have found out. Yes, okay. Yeah, correct. That's what I said. Boron has less atomic radius. They have less atomic radius. Okay. But then ionization enthalpy is found to be lower than compared to beryllium. The reason was because of the electrons which are present in different orbital. Okay. Yeah, normal cases, it will go like that only, okay? Normal case, if you are having, remember, generally I'm talking, okay? Generally, when you have across the period, remember students, across the period, atomic radius is there, no? Atomic radius will always decrease. Okay, generally I'm talking about. But in exceptional cases, you have to justify the reason. So, in general cases, atomic radius will always decrease. Reason because effective nuclear charge increases there. But down the group, you will find atomic radius increases and effective nuclear charge decreases. That is a normal trend. But then here, these are exceptions. Yes, very good. So ionization enthalpy will be higher. Wherever you get high effective nuclear charge, ionization enthalpy is higher. Where you get low effective nuclear charge, ionization enthalpy is lower. Yes, now I'll go for next one. Electron gain enthalpy. It's opposite to ionization enthalpy. Electron gain enthalpy is when you are adding an electron to the neutral gaseous atom. For example, if I have X as the atom, gaseous atom, and if I add an electron and convert them into a negative ion, that is X minus ion. Okay, so at this time, how much amount of energy will be released or absorbed, okay, when they are just taking that electron and getting converted to a negative ion? So that enthalpy change is called as electron gain enthalpy. Okay, when an element takes an electron and gets converted to a negative ion, that time how much amount of energy is either released or absorbed? Okay, I am talking about two things. Either they will be released or they will be absorbed to convert them into a negative ion. That enthalpy is called as electron gain enthalpy. Okay, so here in electron gain enthalpy, for different elements, the electron gain enthalpies are different. Okay, like for example, in group 17 elements you have studied and group 18 elements. You know, group 18 elements, they have 8 electrons in their outermost shell. It's a stable electronic configuration. And in the group 17 case, they have only 7 electrons. 17, no? So they have only 7 electrons in their outermost shell. So when they have 7 electrons in their outermost shell, it's not stable. So if you give them 1 electron, they will readily take that electron. Okay. So if I'm giving 1 electron to them, they will take that electron easily and get converted to the stable electronic configuration of 8. Okay. So this will be attaining a noble gas configuration by receiving that 1 electron. So they will make a bond with that electron very easily. Okay, because they want it. So when they are making that bond, remember, when you create a bond between anything, there you are doing some work to make that. For example, if you want to achieve something, okay, and then you will do work to achieve that. Okay, so here they are having 7 electrons. What is their aim now? To get 1 electron so that they can have a noble gas configuration. So easily they will receive that. They will do work to receive that electron. So energy will be released in that case. Okay. So in this case, energy will be released. Okay. Energy is released in this case. So when the energy is released, remember that change value is there. No, that value will be negative. And the reactions are always exothermic reactions. These reactions will be exothermic in nature because they easily take that electron and do work to form a bond with that electron and release certain amount of energy to attain noble gas configuration. So in this case, energy is released, delta H value will be negative, exothermic reaction. Okay, when they get something and they will try to make a bond with that and then they release the energy. But if the configurations are already stable, they don't require an electron. So to this 8 electronic stable electronic configuration, if you want to supply the electron, what will happen is it has to be going for the next shell. Like for example, in the neon case, if I take neon as the example, you know, neon configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6. It's a stable electronic configuration. 8 electrons are there in the outermost shell. Okay. Now, if you are giving them 1 more electron, where they have to go? They have to go to which shell? They have to go into the 3s orbital, correct? No? They have to go into the 3s orbital, which is in the next shell. Next shell means the amount of energy required will be higher. So then that means we have to supply. They don't have any energy there with them. So that means we have to supply that energy so that these electrons can go to the higher energy state. But then it will make them unstable. They are already in the stable state. Okay. So in that case, they will not take that electron because it is making them unstable. So when things becomes unstable, they won't do it. Those elements will not try to do that particular thing. So then externally somebody has to supply the energy to put these electrons in the higher energy state. Okay. So in that case, energy has to be given to them. So energy will be absorbed by them. Like you have to give the energy to them, supply the energy. Or I can say energy has to be supplied to them. Only then when you supply the energy, they can take that energy and put this electron to the higher energy state. So in that case, delta H value will be positive. Okay. And the reaction is going to be endothermic. So this is not a feasible thing happening. Okay. This will be more feasible. Delta H value more negative because when you give the electron, if they readily take to attain stable, that is more found in the nature than compared to this. This we have to artificially create. Okay, so that is about the electron gain enthalpy. Variations. Remember the variations. Yes, for all the elements, the electron gain enthalpy if they are taking the electron. Okay, for example, for noble gases, they will take the electron. For them, it will be negative. If they take the electron, only then it will be negative. If they don't take the electron, then you are forcing them to take the electron. Then it will be positive. Who wants that electron to attain stability? No, only in that case it will be negative. Otherwise, you will always find them, it will be positive. For metals and all, if you want to give the electron, you think they will take electron easily. For them, losing the electron is easier, no, to attain stable configuration. So if it's a metal case, then you have to supply the energy. If you want to force them and take the electron, then delta H value will be positive. But in the fluorine case, all the halogen case, it is negative. No, it's negative. All the halogens, let me tell you, for all the halogen, the value is negative because they take the electron. But in that, who takes the electron more easily and less easily? That depends on their orbital size and all that. Okay, but all the halogens are negative. Okay, that you don't have to worry. All the halogens values are negative. Okay, electron gain value is negative. And for the noble gases, it is going to be positive. This. For sodium also, like if you want to give, then it will be positive. For metals, for any metals, because metals, they don't take the electron easily. They don't require, because if they lose electron, they can attain stability. So they don't have a tendency to gain the electron. So in that case, we have to always, in case if you want to convert them into a negative ion, then we need to supply that. Okay. So variation part, I hope everyone knows it. Across the period, you can answer, students, instead of me telling here. Across the period, what are the 3 reasons you can give me? Across the period, each one can give me one. Across the period, what are the reasons? One is electrons should be added to the same shell, correct, no? Reasons are same for everything. The periodicity reasons are same. Only thing what you need to see is what concept you are explaining here. Okay, only that you have to change. Yes, across the period, since you are adding electrons to the same shell, effective nuclear charge, everywhere you see effective nuclear charge is increasing only, correct, no? Atomic radius, you find it is decreasing. So what happens to the ionization enthalpy? Even this is directly related. Okay, effective nuclear charge and electron gain enthalpy is directly related. So I can say electron gain enthalpy also increases. Yeah. And down the group, opposite, no? So this I don't have to explain here. You know, down the group, what has to happen is effective nuclear charge is decreasing. So when effective nuclear charge decreases, atomic radius, we find that it is increasing. So electron gain enthalpy is decreasing. For ionization enthalpy, for electron gain enthalpy, even for electronegativity, the trends are same. Only for atomic radius is inversely related. Okay, only that is the difference. Okay. And then we have about electron gain enthalpy of fluorine is less negative than compared to chlorine. Means chlorine takes the electron more easily than compared to fluorine. This you had to explain. See, if you could remember, fluorine, if I take, fluorine atomic number is 9. And when you write the electronic configuration, you get 1s2, 2s2, 2p, 5. And in the chlorine case, when you see chlorine atom, you find chlorine is 17. 17. Possible you listen, otherwise I will be doing in the next class. Okay. So your chlorine case, what happens? 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, and then 3p5. Okay. You know, here we are limited with the second shell. In the second shell, we have only these 2 orbitals possible. We don't have any other place available. But in the chlorine case, you know, there is, see, it is in the 3s, 3p, and after that there is another orbital which is empty, where the electrons are not present. Okay, orbital is still present there, but it is empty. Here 3D is available. Remember that. 3D is available, okay, but it is empty. So in the fluorine case, what happens when you add an electron, okay, to this orbital, which is having 5 electrons here, okay, when you add one more electron, there will be a repulsion. Electron and electron undergoes repulsion. Electron and an electron don't like each other. Due to the same charges, there will be a repulsion. Interelectronic repulsion will take place. So when there is repulsion, they try to occupy more distance, okay. Due to the repulsion, when they hate each other, they try to occupy more place. But this fluorine doesn't have more place to occupy. So they will take that electron, but then they will not be that ease of taking the electron in the fluorine will be little less. Whereas in the chlorine case, what happens, since there is a